A new rumor out of the wrap says that the Walt Disney Company is poised to announce a huge AI initiative. Meanwhile, somehow, out of the blue, Robert Downey Jr. says that he will sue the pants off of anyone who uses his AI likeness, even after he dies. Could they be talking to each other? Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place. And I am here to talk to you today about the looming threat of artificial intelligence, that being Skynet, or in this case, DisneyNet. I don't know which studio actually owns the rights to Terminator off the top of my head, but Disney is poised to announce a major AI initiative. This is an exclusive for the wrap. They will focus on the tech efforts on post-production and VFX. I'm going to say, as a person who has zero faith in Disney's current regime to make creative decisions for the company, that's a situation that causes a lot of rewrites after the fact. They like to make a movie in its entirety and then see how it's going. And so we see these large pushes, these large amounts of reshoots that come in. And then, of course, the VFX shops are sent whatever is left and forced to try to redo all of that. And that tends to go to the lowest bidder. I'm reminded, by the way, a quality VFX studio out there, Rhythm and Hughes, was shut down and went bankrupt after getting the Oscar for Life of Pi, that Ang Lee movie that had amazing special effects. Rhythm and Hughes was on the hook for that film, did an amazing job with that film, but didn't receive enough benefit from that film in order to keep their doors open. It is one of the great tragedies of post-production work in the movie business. Well, now Disney is talking about doing this AI initiative. And if I haven't spelled this out clearly enough here, if they're focusing on post-production and VFX, this is something where they're probably going to take what's existing and then adjust it. The things that come to mind are the reported budgets of, let's say, the upcoming films: Captain America, Brave New World, formerly called New World Order, otherwise known as the Captain America film that doesn't include Captain America. I get it that they've renamed the Falcon, but it's very confusing when you rename a character. Also, the Snow White film reportedly having a $400 million budget so far at this point. Budget's not the right word. It's how much they've spent on it. This is all before these films get into theaters. Before they are being properly marketed. I know there are trailers out there, but that kind of $400 million budget happens when there is an out of control production that is not quite working the way it's supposed to. And an executive comes in and says, you know what we need to do? We need to reshoot this part. We need to reshoot that part. The joke is with Captain America, Brave New World, that they just needed to reshoot 3 sequences, those sequences being Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3 of the film. The reports are from the rumors of the test screenings on Brave New World are that it's not very good. Anyways, this is something that I think is good for Disney at this point, to say we're going to try to reduce our expenses by sending whatever they're doing through AI and trying to tweak it there instead of trying to have a VFX studio redo it. I personally would prefer that they make a movie by scripting it out, having an actual artistic vision, maybe some basic level of test screening to make sure that they're not completely off base, because Disney has obviously shown that they are way off base, and then putting that out into theaters with maybe a little adjustment here if they say, okay, well, this plot point didn't quite sell the way that we thought it would. Basic kind of reshoots here, capping them out at $250 million or something like that. But this is the kind of thing that I think would do well for the studio. Another story out of the wrap that was focusing on the CEO search of the Walt Disney Company talked about wrangling AI. By the way, a Disney spokesman declined to comment for this story, which is funny because I think they probably have a source within the Walt Disney Company that's talking about this. Now, here is an interesting statement here from Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. issues warning for future execs who might use AI to recreate his likeness. My law firm will still be very active. This by an author out of Deadline, Natalie Oganesyan. Forgive me on the pronunciation of your name. Robert Downey Jr. is firmly anti the usage of generative artificial intelligence to recreate his likeness, issuing a warning to potential future executives who may want to bring Tony Stark back from the dead. The Oscar-winning Oppenheimer actor recently appeared opposite Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright Ayad Akhtar and Tony-winning director Bartlett Sher on the podcast on with Kara Swisher to discuss the former's Broadway debut in a play about the dangers of the AI age. There are two tracks. How do I feel about everything that's going on? I feel about it minimally because I have an actual emotional life that's occurring that doesn't have a lot of room for that. It's a good way to put it. He's busy. The actor said when prompted to comment on his thoughts on deepfakes and AI recreations. At the same time, the MCU actor said he's confident those currently at the conglomerate wouldn't do such a thing. To go back to the MCU, I'm not worried about them hijacking my character's soul because there's like 3 or 4 guys and gals who make all the decisions there anyways, and they would never do that to me with or without me. I'm not so sure about that, considering what happened with Peter Cushing over there at Lucasfilm. More on Peter Cushing in a second, otherwise known as Grand Moff Tarkin. When Swisher maintained that the future executive certainly will want to do so, Downey answered, "Well, you're right. I would like to here state that I intend to sue all future executives just on spec." Though Swisher then noted he'll be long gone at that point. Downey quipped, "But my law firm will still be very active," prompting laughs from Swisher, who compared him to Elvis Presley and his estate. Elsewhere in the podcast, Downey spoke to his longtime investment in AI companies. "It's always come down again to not the technology or the opportunity to line my pockets as much as who are the people involved with this? Do I think they have a moral psychology? For what reason are they deploying this? Is their steering committee sound? Do I have something to learn from this experience? Can I be additive?" So I'm a little more agnostic about these things. Robert Downey Jr., of course, is coming back as Doom in the latest Avengers film, which of course is controversial in and of itself. It was very expensive in order to get him to return. Reports of $100 million contract between the two films, not counting performance of the film. I'm sure he'll get points. I don't want to even say on the back end. I bet he gets points on the front end on those films because he was so crucial to that. They're also adding Robert Downey Jr. to Disney rides out there. There's a paint shaker ride called the Stark Flight Lab that they'll be adding to Disneyland out there. But Peter Cushing, let's talk about him for just a second. Peter Cushing becomes latest icon to be given AI resurrection in Sky Hammer Films doc. This is, of course, talking about Hammer Films, not Disney films. In Hammer Heroes, Legends, and Monsters, a Sky doc airing in 2 days' time, viewers will be treated to a powerful and poignant reveal of Hammer royalty, Sky said, with what is being described as a special homage to Cushing. Cushing, who died in 1994, played Dr. Van Helsing in 5 Dracula films and Baron Frankenstein in 6 movies from that franchise. He will be the latest celebrity given an AI resurrection treatment. Yesterday, the producers, Deep Fusion Films, unveiled a world-first podcast hosted by a replica of the late chat show presenter Michael Parkinson. So this is something that I think is going to be coming up more and more. There is currently a lawsuit against Lucasfilm that's going on because of Peter Cushing's likeness being used in Rogue One. They did not use deepfake to replicate Peter Cushing in Rogue One, but the lawsuit is still probably going to be argued with that as a reference point if they're trying to convince a jury why it is wrong. AI is something that I think is a tool and has to be accounted for in contracts. I think it's going to be something in the future that is, if younger actors trying to get their start are told that they have to agree to AI recreations for the equivalent of ADR work or something like that for on the audio side, or things like I remember I think it was a movie that starred what is her name, Jessica Love Hewitt or whatever her name is. There was a very expensive shot in a film in which she played a police officer, and she had a sweater tied around her waist. And in the director's commentary, the director said that that was the most expensive shot of the movie because they had to remove that sweater from around her waist. So there's a mixed bag here on AI. I think there is a world in which it should be allowed to exist to reduce costs. I also think that filmmakers should probably just pay people to be less sloppy on their film sets. And I do think that Disney is probably the company that could benefit most from artificial intelligence with their exorbitant post-production costs on their films. I don't know. I'm also very interested in seeing if something changes at the Walt Disney Company, whether or not Robert Downey Jr. is going to come back and get another few $100 million out of them for crossing a line he didn't agree to. With that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. I'd love to get your thoughts on this very controversial topic. Of course, like this video if you like this video, and consider subscribing to That Park Plays for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.